Welcome to episode 4 of Women Living Well After 50. And today's topic is all about throwing off that invisibility cloak that many of us start to wear as we get older, when we start to lose our self-esteem and our self-confidence. I recently read an article in Harvard Health, Regain Your Confidence, and a 2010 study showed that self-confidence tends to resemble that of a bell curve. It rises during our late teens, peaks during midlife, and starts to decline after our 60s. Now, this is a hot topic with women. They seem to feel that once we hit midlife and beyond, we start to lose our self-confidence as we get older. We don't have that same self-belief that we have. We lack purpose. We find that these limiting beliefs are holding us back. And I just want to ask a question of why is it that we feel this way, and what can we do to reclaim that self-confidence that we once had? I'm delighted today to introduce you to my guest, Candi Randolph from Inspire My Style. Candi is a writer and a woman in midlife who writes about women and their experiences during this unique phase of life. Natural aging, healthy eating, fitness, casual fashion, home and family. Candi promotes motivation, inspiration and encouragement for women in their 50s, 60s and beyond. So I'm delighted to have her join me today to discuss this topic of how we can reclaim our self-confidence and self-esteem. Well, welcome, Candi, and thank you so much. It's so lovely to have you join me today to discuss this topic, which I think many women struggle with as we get older, this feeling of the lack of self-confidence and self-esteem. So I'm going to dive right in and ask you a question. Now, as I said, it's a hot topic with women, this lack of self-esteem. So what do you feel are the major triggers that eat away at our self-confidence and self-esteem as we get older, once we reach, I don't know, the magic number of 50 plus?
Probably 50s, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Sue, I've talked to a lot of women. I've obviously experienced it myself. I'm in my mid 60s. And for me, and I think, with the feedback I've gotten, a lot of it is because we've gone through or are going through so many changes in our body, as we go through menopause and then, get past that, our body shape changes and our face starts to change. We develop the wrinkles and the sags and the bags. Our life could be changing, for women who had careers. That might be a thing of the past if they've retired, which is great. But you put all those things together, the changes in our lifestyle, changes in our body, changes in how we look. And I think that for some women, not for everyone, but for a lot of women, they kind of lose some identity and confidence. Well, gosh, I'm not firm and young and thin or whatever. And even if they weren't perfect in the past, it can be hard to look in the mirror and see these things changing as the days and weeks and months go by. And for some women, that does affect their self-confidence and their self-esteem.
That's right. And I know that we say, beauty comes from within and that sort of thing. But I know myself, over the last few months, we've all been in isolation with the COVID-19, and we're just starting to have the easing of restrictions here. So we were able to visit my mother-in-law. Now, I haven't had makeup on or, dress other than in my workout gear for a few months now. And just the fact of putting on some makeup, doing my hair, dressing up a little bit more, throwing on a scarf, it just
Mhm.
made me feel so much better about myself. And I thought, oh, you
Right.
know, you really should make that effort because it's not that difficult. And it
No,
just made me feel $1 million. And I
sure.
think, and that confidence just grew. So I agree with you that, you know, sometimes the way our bodies change, we feel like it's letting us down. But there are
Right.
ways we can actually overcome that, isn't there,
Of
by
course.
keeping fit? Would you like
Right.
to continue with
Sure.
that?
Yeah. You know, in the 2 years that I've had the blog Inspire My Style, I've learned so much in researching and writing about life as a woman over 50, over 60. And so many of the topics all kind of funnel down into maintaining that healthy lifestyle when it comes to watching what you eat. You know, doesn't mean every second of the day you have to be counting calories, but you really do have to pay attention. At least I do, much more than I used to. You know, what I'm eating. Am I exercising? You know, am I getting that aerobic exercise, that strength training, functional fitness, all of those activities that we choose to make part of our life ultimately can impact how we feel about ourselves. Uh, doesn't make us any younger, doesn't take away any of the wrinkles or the belly fat, anything like that. Might firm it up a little bit, but by keeping fit and strong and being careful about what we eat, you know, the self-care that we need to do as far as getting enough sleep, um, whatever supplements we may need, all of those things ultimately impact our self-esteem and our self-confidence.
Mm. Now, I want to talk about actually an experience I had. I've just finished a group fitness instructor course and I'm almost
Mhm.
63, so I'm very proud of myself that I've started
Absolutely.
a new career with that. But when I was actually first applying to do the course, I approached an organisation, and this was about 5 years ago, and they said, oh, we think you're probably a bit too old to be doing this.
Yeah,
And that
yeah,
really gutted me because it was something
sure.
that I'd always wanted to do. And I thought, wow, I've got the time now. I'm retired. I can really do it. And
Mhm.
I was very fit. And I thought,
Sure.
you know, that really affected me. And I think that something else that women talk about is this feeling as we get older of being invisible, that we don't feel that we've got anything to offer. And
Sure.
I just wondered, you know, you've written about this on your website and through your
I have.
YouTube channel.
I have.
Have you experienced this, and how have you overcome this feeling
Sure.
that you're just
Yeah,
invisible?
right. I think for me personally, although I have had a number of women literally use that term,
Mm.
and when they email me, I'm going to digress just a little bit. I have
Yeah.
just a series of welcome emails that I send to anyone who subscribes to Inspire My Style. And along the way, I ask them in one of the emails, would you, I'd love to know more about you. Would you tell me a little bit about yourself? And I ask them just 3 or 4 questions. And the women that choose to answer, not all of them, but a good number of them use the term, I just kind of feel like I'm invisible anymore
Mm.
now that I'm older. So to get back to literally answer your question, I personally um, have not experienced that, but I've given it some thought. And I think for me, you know, I have had to overcome some obstacles in my life. And when it comes to okay.
Go.
You know, for myself personally, I have not had a strong feeling like that, but I think for me, because I have had some adversity in my life to overcome, in terms of, I've lost a spouse, had financial issues. went through a divorce when my children were young. I'm kind of going backwards in time, but I'm a fighter, and I'm very persistent when it comes to tackling things that are thrown at me. And so I think I've been able to kind of keep myself going and keep myself moving forward.
Hmm.
When I've had some women who have written to me, and again, we're all unique. We all have different situations in our life. I know one woman in particular said, you know, my kids are grown. They're off on their own now. My husband, sometimes it seems like he doesn't really notice me anymore. And I just feel like as I've gotten older, that I'm just kind of here. I'm just kind of existing. And as you mentioned a few minutes ago, what is my contribution? What do I have left to contribute? And ultimately, for me, there's nothing that we can't do. I mean, look what you did in your early 60s, how you achieved this certification that I know was not easy at all for you to do. And so that's something that I'm a proponent of in my blog, and also in the courses I've created, that really any goal you set your mind to, you can accomplish. And that goes a long way towards helping you feel, yes, I'm still making a contribution. I'm worthy. I have value. And then it just goes right back to, I'm not invisible. And it helps to increase our self-confidence and our self-esteem when we know that, yes, we are making a contribution.
And I think that's a good point about having a goal, because, many of us transition in life. We go from, we become empty nesters, or then we move on to, we transition out of our career, we become retired. And for many, and I know myself, I retired early, and I didn't really have a plan about what retirement was going to be like. And I found that in a few months, I was lost, and that ate away at self-confidence as well, because I thought, I'm 57, what am I going to do? Hopefully I will live, for a number of years longer. The self-confidence again took a bit of battering, and I think that having a goal, or setting up, you don't have to call it a goal, but just working towards a project, or having something that you enjoy doing that is going to make you feel good and build on your confidence, I think is very important. Now,
absolutely.
I've known you for some time, and I'm excited that to see a woman over 60 like yourself stepping out of your comfort zone and creating online courses to help other women, because it's not easy to create a course, and I think people don't really understand all the work that goes into it. But 3 in particular caught my attention: Inspire My Life, The Fashion Cure, and Fresh Start Challenge. So I just wondered if you could give us a brief overview of those courses and how they help in building our self-confidence and finding purpose in our life, which we sometimes find is lacking.
Right. And just to comment on something you said a minute ago, creating an online course was a goal of mine. It was something I wanted to learn. I had a passion for wanting to share some insights that I had learned through my experiences with women in midlife. But there was also that other side of it that was, I want to learn how to do this. And you are absolutely right. It was a huge undertaking. And I remember I did a guest post for you maybe last year sometime about micro-stepping. And I wrote about creating the course, and how each step, it was a small step, but there were so many of them to actually make it become a real course that I could offer to other people. So anyway, that was a goal, and I felt really good that was something I had accomplished, whether anyone ever decided to buy it or not, that I had done it, and I had got it out for the world to see, or, you know, to offer it to women. So anyway, but Inspire Your Life, that's the first course I created. And basically it's a blueprint for women in midlife to kind of take control in a way of themselves, their body, their mind, what they want to do with themselves. And there's a number of lessons, and I've got my notes here because I just don't want to forget anything, but we talk about some of the things that you and I have already discussed, why it's so important to have a healthy eating plan, why exercise is essential as women in midlife, why we want to take care of our skin, and just the impact that the years that we've lived, the sun, what we eat, what we do, how that impacts our skin. We talk about our style essence, and understanding our body shape. We talk about our emotional well-being, and maybe, you know, there are times in our life when we have to reach out and ask for some assistance, whether it's, you know, officially or with a family member, but just being in tune with our bodies and our emotions. And then finally, we talk about goal setting, what you and I were just talking about a few minutes ago, that we're really never too old to do something new and different. And for each of us, that could be vastly different. So someone who goes through this course, first of all, completes just a questionnaire, kind of an assessment to help them understand where they are right now, and we kind of use it as we go through the course. And then finally, when we're talking about setting our goals, there's a process the participant goes through to help them determine what's most important to them. What are their priorities? What do they really want to focus on? So that you can hone in on some specific things that you want to accomplish. And it could be really simple. I want to learn how to speak Spanish, or I want to learn how to play golf. It could be, I want to move. I want to relocate. I want to start a business. It could be anything, but sometimes it's just taking that time on yourself to understand yourself better, kind of get everything balanced out, and then know what direction you want to head in next. So that is Inspire Your Life. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good one to start with.
Yes. And from there, I found that a lot of women were really finding themselves wanting to learn more about what I was writing about, fashion. And when I say fashion, I always start out by saying I'm not a fashionista. You can see I'm just not. I'm a pretty simple girl in terms of how I dress, but that whole thought of, you know, self-confidence and self-esteem, how it can kind of wane as we get older. Some women also feel like they're losing their sense of style. You know, I used to be able to put this outfit on, but ew, it looks like nasty now. And so what do I do? You know, how do I accommodate my changing body, my changing weight? What do I do with all that? So I found that some of the blog posts I wrote were very, very popular in terms of defining your style, because we all have one, a personal style, whether we'd like to dress up or not, we still have a style. Understanding our body shape. So when I looked at that, I thought, you know, I would like to put just a simple email series course together for women who might be interested in just taking a little bit of time to understand more about themselves when it comes to style and fashion, and understanding what their own personal style is. So from that, I created a course called The Fashion Cure. And it certainly isn't a magic cure that is going to, you know, make you feel like $1 million the next day, but it really helps women gain clarity about themselves and their style and how they like to dress. And we go through a simple process of kind of assessing where the participant is at with, you know, how they see themselves fashion-wise. I have an exercise where I ask them to do an assessment of their wardrobe, of everything in their closet. We talk about body shape, because understanding your body shape is really important if you would like to, the goal is to put on an outfit and feel good, feel confident, feel pretty, feel attractive, no matter what it is. But if you don't really know what you look good in or what you feel good in, it can kind of be a little bit of a mystery. So we go through the closet, we understand your body shape. For women who would like some, further specifics, one of the lessons is talks about putting an outfit together. Now, some women, if they're listening to this, they may think, I can do that. That's no big deal. But not everyone is the same.
No.
Some women just kind of don't know what to do, so they always wear the same thing. And then they don't feel attractive, and then they feel invisible, and then they lose their confidence. So it's just understanding what you want to wear, what you feel good in, and making sure that that's what you have in your closet. And so that's really what that course is about. And the goal is, by the time someone is finished with the fashion cure, they will understand. They'll literally have it in writing in their hand. This is my personal style. This is what I like to wear. These are the colors that look really good on me, so that when they go shopping or online shopping, they know what to do and what to purchase, and are much more likely to like what they buy and or what's in their closet.
Yeah, well, I actually did that course, and I found that very useful because I think for many women we either impulse buy and then never wear it, or we've got a wardrobe full of clothes and we say we've got nothing to wear. And I think that for my philosophy, I just like to have a few outfits that I know when I put them on, I'm going to feel good in them. And I think that's what I got out of your course.
Yeah.
It was a way to go through and just really go through the process of finding, as you say, what looks good, how to put a few outfits together, so you don't feel like you're in a rut either, because you'll say, oh, I've only got this to wear, and after a while it doesn't feel quite as good as when you first wore it. So I found that very useful, that course.
Well, I'm glad you did. So that was, that was fun to put together, and that's been a pretty popular course. I try and keep the pricing for the courses I offer really affordable, because not everyone has a ton of discretionary income, and so I try and make things easy for women to participate in and purchase. So this has been a pretty popular course. And then the other one that you mentioned is called Fresh Start Challenge. And that was the most recent course that I developed. It's also an email course where once a day for 7 days, you get an email, which is your lesson for the day. And the reason I started Fresh Start Challenge was along the lines of, setting goals, reaching for something new, wanting to learn something new. It can be a struggle to get there, to whatever the goal is, to accomplish it, if you're kind of all out of sync with yourself. For example, in your mind, you might say, okay, today's the day I'm going to, eat well, and I'm going to lose 5 pounds or whatever it is. But if in your life you have a lot of stress, maybe something traumatic going on, where you just can't focus on anything, it's probably going to be hard for you to reach that goal. So the idea behind the Fresh Start Challenge is just give yourself just 7 days, one lesson a day, to get your mind and your body and your heart kind of all synced along the same lines. And if you can do that, then whatever it is you want to do, no matter how simple it is or how complex what the goal is, at least you give yourself a shot at success,
Yeah.
So it's a very, again, it's very simple, but I use a combination of recommending podcasts. They're not mine. I went out and found them for whatever the topic was for the day. Printables, links to resources, but we talk about things like having a positive mindset, a consistent morning routine, a commitment to self-care, commitment to fitness and health, healthy eating and nutrition, and then once again, a commitment to your personal goals. So it's taking a very simple approach, but one that lets you focus each day on something different that's all part of getting yourself into balance.
Yeah, and building that foundation.
Right, right. So, and I've had, a number of women decide to participate in that and gotten some very nice feedback on that course as well. So you can see, I think that they all are kind of related. They might focus a little bit more in one area or another, but the idea is the same, that as women in midlife, we have so much to offer. We're not done yet.
No.
And as you mentioned earlier, it can be a challenge to look in the mirror and say, I'm beautiful, just the way I am, because our mind, at least my mind, wants to be critical and say, oh, there's another wrinkle, or, what do the scales say today? But if we can keep ourselves, grateful and embracing who we are at this point in our life, kind of balance out our mind, body, and soul, our spirit, we really can accomplish anything.
Well, they all sound really great. So, I think that we've covered quite a lot today, and lots of ways that we can improve our self-esteem. But before we finish, I wanted to ask you a question that I ask all of my guests, and that is, what does being a woman living well after 50 mean to you?
Well, to me, and I probably am going to sound a little bit like a broken record, but a woman living well after 50, or for me after 60, it really is all about, for me, being grateful for every day. When I wake up in the morning, I literally thank the Lord. I'm here for another day. Thank you for this day. Yesterday is done. Tomorrow hasn't come yet, so I'm not going to worry about that. But I'm grateful for today. I embrace who I am, and I have to work at it every day. But this is me. This is who I am right now, today, and live each day the best that I can. And that's, for me, how I live well. I don't dwell in the past. I try not to worry about the future, about things that haven't happened yet, but I enjoy and appreciate and I'm grateful for each day.
Well, that's a great attitude to have, and I think that gratitude is very important, even if sometimes, you feel there isn't anything to be grateful for. There always is, and I think that that's right, and if you have that positive attitude of finding even some little thing to be grateful for, it just makes everything worthwhile. So thank you, Candi, for joining us today and helping us to work through the topic of self-esteem and self-confidence. Don't forget to pop over and visit Candi at her website, inspiremystyle.com, and also her YouTube channel, where you can find out more information about the online courses and also connect with her through social media. And if you've enjoyed today's episode, give me a like, share it with another woman over 50 who you feel might benefit from the topic that we've discussed today, and also subscribe to the channel so you never miss a conversation.
Absolutely.
I'm Sue Long-Carrick, and I look forward to you joining me for the next episode of Conversations with Women Living Well After 50. And remember, until then, to embrace and enjoy life every day. Thanks for joining us.